And so we encourage any of you, um, to uh, elevate any action items as well that feel like it resonate throughout our time and space together. All right. So with that, at this point in time, and would just love to transition us into the Fresno EOC weatherization program overview agenda item. Would love to note that this meeting is also being streamed live on YouTube, if you got a notification for that as well. So now that we've gotten the chance to talk through these former action items, thank you for posting those in the chat, Nancy. I will be transitioning us to talking about this new Fresno EOC weatherization program overview. As a note, this is a strategy in the SERP and also pairs well with the SERP's residential air filtration measure, especially in light of the ways that air filters in homes which have been weatherized tend to work more efficiently than in homes which are not. And so the goal of this strategy is to work with the Fresno EOC to provide increased outreach and access to incentive funding for low-income residents in the South Central Fresno region to receive these weatherization services. So we have been looking forward to having the Fresno EOC join us in this space to share more about this opportunity for residents and CBOs for a while now. And so tonight we have Monica Goetz joining us. So with that, we invite you, Monica, to share a little bit more with us about the weatherization and LIHEAP, that's low income home energy assistant programs. So as we begin and as I pass the proverbial mic to you, Monica, would you be willing to share if you'd prefer for us as CS or for our CSC members to take questions, to offer questions throughout your meeting, or would you prefer for folks to save questions for the end of your presentation?
So just to keep the flow of the presentation, I would like questions open during the presentation. It kind of gears it around to maybe any common questions anybody may have about what the program is or what our services offer, or we are state and federally limited funding. So sometimes just getting those program expectations determined and all those questions asked as they come up, just because more or less like me, I have a bad memory. So might as well ask them if I touch on anything. And if I'm going to discuss it in further detail later, I'll just say that as well. But if anything comes to mind, anybody just like raise your hand or chime in and saying that you have a question.
Wonderful. Thank you, Monica. Feel free to proceed.
All righty. Let's Okay, so let's get this done. And I'm gonna go ahead and start here. Let's see. Okay, can everybody see the screen? Thumbs up? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. So for introduction, once again, I am Monica Goetz. I'm with Fresno EOC Energy Services. We were also called formerly at one time Weatherization. What our services focuses on is improving the overall health of the home, as well as saving energy cost and reducing energy use. Overall, the services will help low-income families in the Fresno County area save money. And so I'll go over those few points of why people should sign up for the program, how it benefits those in the community, and how it benefits the overall health of everyone around and improve the lifestyle and well-being of all the residents within Fresno County. So first off, I'll just go ahead and start with what specifically does our program do? Our program, as I mentioned, is we are here to save you energy, provide energy education, save you money, and provide a healthier home. Not saying that your home wasn't already healthy to start with. We want to help you make it even healthier with the services we provide. And even if your home is fairly newer and already more energy efficient, we also offer little tidbits and ideas and ways that you can possibly change your lifestyle habits to live safer, healthier, and more energy savvy. I do apologize if you hear any sounds in the background. I am at home with my children. So first off, saving energy in your home. With our work, we are specifically providing free home repairs. So what that means is we want to come out to the resident's house, the low-income family household. They get a member of our staff to come out, physically walk through the entire home. They look at it from top to bottom, every nook and cranny of your home. They're looking for holes, they're looking for drafts possibly coming in from the window, the floor. They're going to look at your appliances, see what works, what doesn't work, what could work better. Over on the right-hand side, as you can see, there's some pictures of some measures and some things that we could do on a home. Now, with the services, I do like to just focus in on the services is here to provide free services. And since it is a state and federally funded program, it is limited to just home repairs. We cannot help, unfortunately, with major home upgrades. I know there's a need in Fresno County. We will try to do as much as we can with the services and the funding that we have available. So with that said, we can't help with electrical problems. We can't help with the roof. I know we got a lot of rain going on and we'd like it to stay outside, not inside. But we'll try to seal it up as much as possible. But we cannot touch any roofs, unfortunately. We do offer major assistance as far as the heating and cooling. So there's a little man on the roof right there. We could take a look at your heater or cooler. Right now it's still a little chilly. So if you want to run your cooler at night, our program could help you out with that, getting some repairs or replacement done. Just let me know if you need me to slow down or if I'm talking too fast for the translation. With the services, also what we want to do is some people kind of tend to think, well, how does this help me specifically? Like what am I seeing besides you guys coming out with a bag of goodies? A lot of our work is kind of unseen because it's so small. Sometimes you won't see the savings for a while because it's little savings build up in your utility costs. So you will see that difference eventually. But those little things do add up, and that's what we want to help with. Obviously, in that picture with the hole in the glass, now that hole in your glass could be the size of a baseball, but that hole in the glass could also be the size of a quarter. You're gonna lose more energy with the baseball size of a hole in your glass than you would with the quarter, but either way, you're losing energy. And it's cold right now, and you got rain coming down on your water on the windows. So whether the size doesn't matter, you're still getting that moisture in from outside, you're still getting that cold wind, and we want to make sure that all of that is being prevented. So what could happen is that we could replace the glass, and in some cases, we are able to upgrade the windows to dual pane. Not every home is a like for like. We do take a look at the whole property, as I stated. So just keep in mind, not every home receives the exact same service. Every home is different by the way it's used, the way that the home is occupied. If you have a lot of people in the home, sometimes the work that needs to be done, it has to function for a large household. It also depends on the age of the home, what kind of appliances you have. Um, when's the last time things were serviced or not used? Things like that are all taken into consideration to figure out what exactly we can offer for our households and our families. Now, the services, I mean, it sounds great and all because we're offering free things and everybody loves something free. No coupons involved, no credit checks, no bills. It's completely funded by the state and federal government. We are fortunate enough to have multiple grants to allow us to provide services throughout the year. We don't typically have a waitlist period. Occasionally, we might have one, but these services are offered 365 days of the year. Heating, cooling season, in between, we are available. So besides working on the home itself, as I mentioned, some homes are a little better off than others as far as energy efficient. If you got a home that was probably built 5, 10 years ago, it's probably pretty energy efficient because of the rules and regulations in place by California real estate and local ordinances. They want to make sure everybody is living a safe and comfortable home, and they don't want people moving into homes that are going to end up costing them even more. So with that said, besides the measures installed and repaired and replaced in the home, we also provide energy education. This goes back to where I was talking about lifestyle changes. Knowledge is power. A lot of people, we're not going to judge anybody for not knowing something because we were all raised differently, and every home that we might have lived in as a child to adulthood is different. So we need to know how to live the best life we can in our current household. So, for example, we give some education material. I know everybody loves papers and brochures. They probably go in a little folder and then they put it in the trash. So we do provide some verbal education to go over things about what not only what we're installing and offering in the home, but also just how to properly use things in the home or things that people may not have even been aware of. So in this booklet with this child here, it's talking about lead safety. A lot of families still don't know, and especially the people with young children as well as elderly um, people over the age of 60, lead safety is very important. And people think, well, as long as I don't eat it, I should be okay. There's more to that. So lead can be found in older homes in the lead paint. Lead could be found in around the windows where they sealed it up. Lead could be found up in the attic. So there are different areas of lead can deposits been there, and it's not anything that the person can put into the home necessarily. They were already pre-existing. So part of the safety that we go over it, and sometimes even with the program, is we educate on how to prevent lead poisoning. So how if you have lead, it doesn't mean that you're going to get sick right away. It just means, there are precautions to be made before you try to do anything in the house. So before decide I'm going to do a DIY project and just, take all the paint down and strip it in the house and do all of these cutting into walls and stuff, know what you're working with. So we do tell clients if you have peeling paint on the wall, sometimes that could be, a dirty wall, moisture buildup. It could be your dog chewed up the edge of your door frame, whatever the case can be. It could be the water moisture buildup around the windows. All of these could be a possibility for the lead to be exposed through the paint. And we advise clients on how to remedy those issues themselves or how the program can possibly fix that issue as well. It is a safety concern, so we want to make sure that those are addressed. Another thing with the lead is also using household items that still contain lead. Those of you that may not be familiar, but it is very common for the Hispanic culture to use pots or certain cups that are made out of clay. And sometimes the original pot and cups are the clay breaks down as you use them, which makes everything taste better, which is great. But over time, if you use it too much, it can break down, and some of them do contain lead. So there are a lot of safety pamphlets about that, how to use it, how to protect it. Sometimes, you know what? Let's keep our traditions going, but maybe put a liner on it, or maybe just put it up on the shelf and it will always be part of our family history. So we do go over things like that. Another thing that we go over, as I mentioned multiple times earlier, about the mold moisture in your home. A lot of people, it's nothing against our cleaning habits. It happens to everybody. You get the occasional mold pop up in your home. We do educate when we come out to people's homes. We are not there to judge. As I mentioned, we were all grew up differently. Our homes are built differently. So what affects one home, it does not affect another. So if you have mold in your home, we're not shaming you that you don't know how to clean correctly. We're not shaming you that you live in a bad home. That's not the case at all. Maybe your home has mold because you're not getting enough air out of your home. Maybe you're not getting enough air throughout the home. Maybe nobody's ever cracked a window in your bathroom when you took a shower. We educate on ways to prevent the mold from reappearing and how to limit it if it does come back, which it can. Mold is very hazardous. It's not just a cleanliness, it's a bacteria and it could be airborne. So we do provide those education to further assist healthy homes, healthy families, and it'll also reduce respiratory issues. So sometimes those little things, even though we think it's just a simple cleanliness, it is a big help for the family. And we also give little tidbit brochures and some like little incentive toys in our little goodie bags when we go out to our homes as well. You know, something fun, something to remember when you're at home. Make sure that you're closing the door when it's hot or cold because you're letting in drafts, you're letting in the heat. We go over about maybe setting your thermostat to a certain temperature. If you're not at home, then who's at home taking in that nice fresh air? Your dog? Because they're like this small and you're big. So they probably don't need to be sitting in an igloo while you're at home at work or at school or picking up the kids. You can raise the temperature up or lower it a little bit. You just always have to remember, are you cooling the home for yourself or are you cooling the home for your little visitors up in the attic? Or are you trying to keep the heat in? Are you trying to bring the heat out? What's going on? How are you trying to make yourself comfortable at home? So they provide little tidbits with little pictures. Everybody loves pictures, little clip cards and cartoons of how to better make your home, live more comfortable. All right. So what everybody always wants to know is how does this save me money? Money, 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 money. Those of us that are, looking forward to our tax returns and those of us not looking forward to that. We want to save as much money for everybody, even including ourselves. I don't like looking at my PG&E bill if I can help it because I know how much it is. So we try to help you lower your utility bill with our services. Now, with our utility bill, when you look at your PG&E bill, pretty much everybody goes straight to how much do I owe this month? How much am I going to owe next month? It's hot, it's cold. You were running your heater all through winter. We had a freeze warning several times. You cranked up your thermostat and now you got your PG&E bill and you're regretting it. With our services, hopefully that will reduce that problem significantly, or at least it will be when you look at your PG&E bill. For most of us that have it in the Fresno County, I know some people get gas through propane, or there's a few people that get it through third-party companies. But when you look at your bill, you should know why your utility cost is that. It shouldn't be a surprise when you get your bill. So if you get your bill and it is exceedingly high, and you were on vacation and maybe you weren't even home. Maybe your AC wasn't even working and you're looking at your bill and it's like, it's $400. I don't know why it's that high. You should be able to know what's happening in your home. And if you cannot point necessarily of why that spike happened, because on the front of your PG&E bill, there's usually a graph telling you every month about how much electricity you use, how much gas. If you can't tell what's going on in your house, it could be that there's an underlying problem existing with your appliances or the electrical in your home. More often than not, it could be there is something running in the house that never turns off. We've had that happen with several people with their heaters, their ACs. They're like, I don't run it. When I leave the house, I turn it off. I'm barely at home. I work Monday through Friday. My kids are at school. I should have a fairly low PG&E bill. Then they get their bill, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. What it was, the fan on their AC stayed on the whole time while they were gone. They didn't have the cooler on, but they had the fan on. And they didn't know that. So when we went out and diagnosed it, we told them, did you know that there's this function on your thermostat? Have you ever moved it? And they're like, no, I just, up and down, plus sign minus on the temperature. I don't change anything else. That's doing too much. I don't even understand it. Well, it was set in fan, so that really didn't alter anything. It just stayed on whether or not you wanted it cold or hot. So we do educate more about how to use those type of things. And we also educate on why you might be seeing a spike in your bill and how we can possibly prevent that spike in the bill as well. Besides the utility bill, which is usually the most costly thing that we see, it's really alarming sometimes. I want to avoid my PG&E bill most of the time, is our water bill. Water bill, it's not as bad, but sometimes it's still bad. It's still coming out of my pocket either way. I'd like a zero. But then if it was a zero, I'd probably have to call the water company and be like, there's a problem. And I don't want to have to owe you letter. Let's just fix this. So with the water bill, we offer services that help not only conserve your electrical use in the home, we also conserve water. There is a lot of water wasted. I've been guilty of this. My children, of course, they love leaving the water on. They'll just, I ask them, are you taking a bath or a shower? And they're like, I don't know. I think I'm doing both. And I was like, that's a lot of water. Is we provide things that could cut down on that loss of water. So shower heads, it decreases the amount of water pressure. Not as great for women washing our hair, but it does help reduce the amount of water that you're getting. It helps with the kids if you got handheld shower heads to spray them off, make it a bath slash shower really quick. It's very handy for disabled individuals that can't stand up in a shower but have a bathtub, so that's helpful. We also offer things like for the sink. You ever turn on the sink and the water just splashed everywhere? That's one of the services. It's just a little tiny thing that goes in your faucet and it reduces the amount of water that comes out. So that way you're not watering the whole sink. You're just watering enough to clean your hands. Or they also make a different one for washing the dishes as well. You can still get clean, but not waste a lot of water. Also, with those type of things, it also helps prevent leaks. If anybody's ever had a leak, I tell you, if you put a bucket or a cup underneath that leak and you leave it there for less than 24 hours or up to 24 hours, you will see how much water you have wasted from that little leak that you just see the bloop, bloop, bloop. It adds up a lot. That's your money that you paid for this water to go in a bucket that you're going to go dump. So you want to keep all that sense. You want to dump it right back into your water to use again. You're going to go water your plants. You're going to go wash your car with it, something, because you've already paid for that water to come out of the sink, even though you turned it off. So we want to help reduce those things like that. We provide caulking. We provide the shower heads, the faucet aerators. Those are the little nets that go underneath the faucet itself. We even provide little incentive toys. That's a little timer. I got one for my children for you have 2 minutes to brush your teeth. After 2 minutes, I hear the beep, you hear the beep, turn off the water. You're done. You don't need any more water. You don't need to brush your teeth anymore. We're all good. So sometimes the timer helps, or for people with long showers, it's a timer also. So that'll help as well. Safety. Safety is definitely a big one. I have children in my home. I also had my elderly grandmother live with me for a while, so I'm really big on the safety, trying to make whatever I can safer in home because especially during COVID, you notice all those little things that you kind of put out of your mind and be like, oh, I'll fix it eventually. I'll fix it eventually. During COVID, we probably all realized because we were home more than necessarily wanted to be, you noticed all those things that like, I probably should fix that right now. So with our safety measures, that could be something as that hole in the window. My kids will never touch it. It's too high up. They will find a way. Kids are resilient. They like to try every button. And I don't know, they have a game with death sometimes, I swear. With us, with the program, we can replace the broken window. So that is a possibility. Any broken glass is a safety issue and it could cause the air to come in as well. So it not only becomes a safety issue, it becomes a respiratory issue because you got that bad air coming in from those fires that we were having up in the mountains. We have that smog during winter. We want to make sure that we're having healthy air come into the home and that we're also keeping out the bad air if it does come in the, in the neighborhood and things like that. Besides that, we also want to make sure, as you mentioned in the earlier in the video, I'm glad you mentioned it, was our filters. There are so many of our families. I have a family member. I felt a little embarrassed, but I was like, I had to remind myself he never changed one, so he never knew. My father-in-law had the same filter for 15 years. He didn't know where it was. He saw there was a grill in the vent in his house, but he didn't know that he was supposed to change that. So for 15 years, he had the same filter. Surprisingly, he had a filter. That's also another thing that surprises some families. If you don't have a filter where your air comes in and out of your home, you need one. That is there for a reason. It's to help get all that gunk that's coming in from the outside and filter it before it enters your house. So with my father-in-law, he didn't know that that was up there and his AC went out, unfortunately, when it was 100 plus degrees. And he was, of course, we had a technician come out and they're like, I just like it, they're trying to figure out what's going on with it. So, sorry, my computer moved. And when the technician came out, he's like, you know what? Let me go inside and see what's going on. So he goes and looks at it. Turns out the filter kind of like some bunnies were living in there, some dust bunnies or a wig. It didn't look very clean. It was very nasty. And the guy told him, and he's like, just so you know, this filter is supposed to be changed every 6 months. Depending on the kind of filter you have, you do want to change it out because it builds up dust, hair, everything that's floating up in the air, it lands there. And he educated him, make sure you change this. You just got to unscrew these little notches, put a filter in, and you can buy a new one and put one in. Or he said, what I recommend is just go to Walmart and put one in, and it's reusable. You just take it out every now and then when it gets built up, rinse it off with the hose in the backyard, dry it out, and put it right back. No money lost, and it's reusable. So you have an either or. For those families, you can't, every little dollar counts. So with our program, we also provide that service as well. Not only are we making sure that your AC and your heater is working, we want to make sure that the air is coming into the home is healthy. So we want to make sure that those little things like the filter are safe and clean so that you're having clean air come into the home. We are also taking a look at those swamp coolers. The pads have to be changed out for people that aren't aware of that. It's not you just turn on the water every year when it gets hot and you turn it back off and you've done what you need to with the unit. There is a maintenance to it that not everybody's aware. So educating on what you have in the home is the biggest, I think, knowledge that our clients and our community can take away because nobody else is living in your home. It's your home. So When we come out, we're able to help them understand this is how your home operates, and this is how to make it work even better. And that is significant for a lot of our households because they were never aware of it. We also educate them on safety for heating. It's still chilly outside. Some families, when their heater doesn't work, to save on the cost of gas, because that can still be costly, especially if you're running on propane, is we talk to them about, cutting back on your gas usage. But also is that you you shouldn't be using appliances at home improperly to heat it. And what I mean is some families have used their gas stove to heat their house and left it on. They're not cooking anything, they're not standing by it. The stove is left on to heat the house because that is your only source of heat because their heater's not working. We all understand that you have to do what you got to do to keep warm in your house. However, certain things you shouldn't do because it's a safety risk for your family. If the flame goes out because you were using gas, you are at risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. If the flame is on and there's anything flammable, you got a kitchen towel right there, you have kids that are running by, anything like that is you're likely to start a fire. So we do want to educate them is we're here now. Let's see what we can do to help you. And one of the ways that we help, you don't have a heater that's working right now, we'll give you a heater. And then in the meantime, we'll work on fixing your actual heater. So we'll give them a space heater if they need it. We'll educate them on some other things that they can do in the home to stay warm. We'll recommend local areas that they can go to. This, depending on the city, that they have heating and cooling centers that people can go to relocate in the meantime. Or if it's just unlivable, is try to see if you can go stay with loved ones while we try to assist you in getting that source fixed for the long term. So those are definitely things that we want to help. We want to help not only the children, we want to help the family members, we want to help the disabled individuals, and we want to help whoever is living in the home, whether it's temporary stay or long-term stay. We want to make sure that we're doing as much as possible to help you. All right. So I hope everybody wants to go and apply for the service now. If you live in Fresno County. So with our services for our program, it is fairly simple to apply. As everybody always says, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. You need to complete an application. And when you complete an application, what you need to do is there are some options listed on the screen here. You can go online, you can call us, you can email us, you can come in person. We will find a way to get an application to you, and we will find a way for you to get an application back to us. We never want accessibility to be an issue for somebody to get services. You give us a call, and we will figure out what we need to do to help get you the services. We've had people come out to the house, walk them through exactly what they need, which helps because they're like, I don't know where anything is. I'm not sure if this paper is needed or that paper. Maybe they're a new mother and they just had a baby and they can't be traveling. We'll come out to the home and we'll help them figure out how to fill out the paperwork. Occasionally, we have people that can't read. So we have to walk them through the application process and answer all those questions for them. Whatever would help them get through the process faster. I would never want the delay in applying for services to be, I just didn't have time to do the application. We'll help you make time for it. And if it takes a couple of weeks to get it completed, then it takes a couple of weeks. But we can really cut that time, if not in half, at least to minutes to getting this completed, and so that somebody can review it.
Thank you so much, Monica. We
Mhm.
have started to get so many questions, and I wanted to make sure that we got to these.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, so sorry to interrupt you. So I see a chat question from Naimeen. Do you provide heat pumps or mini splits that could help with both heating and cooling?
The answer to that question is yes to both. It just depends on what a home has, and we will determine if it can be repaired or replaced. The upgrade of the unit is not something typically done with the program unless it is for medical necessity. But heat pumps and splits, we are doing more in Fresno County, and other programs within across California is doing as well.
I have a follow-up question if you don't mind. So you're saying that uh so if it's you would not replace what they have, let's say it's a swamp cooler, if the it's AC that the issue not heating. So you don't right away provide a mini split is only if something is broken?
So if your swamp cooler is not working, we would try to repair or replace the swamp cooler. In
Yeah,
as far as
but
the
that's not a clean option, right? Because I'm sure you're familiar that swamp coolers do not have a filter like what you were describing that you have replaced. And also the during a wildfire episode, all the smoke from outside it's bringing to the house. So, they're definitely not improving even if you help them fix the swamp cooler.
So actually, until recently, I think it might have been in the precedence of the wildfires that did happen, unfortunately, in Fresno County. Last year, California did change our grant to allow us to swap out people that have swamp coolers, whether it be a rooftop or a wall unit, to a window wall AC due to the respiratory issues that they identified was a concern. So that is a possibility, but it is for medical necessity only. And then they also have to have the owner's permission to make that change. We are actively doing that, so that is a possibility, but it always depends on the home itself and the clients. We actually still do get some clients that would prefer to have a swamp cooler over anything else in the house.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question, I mean, and that follow-up. I did see that Natalie posted a question, and I think I heard this, but could you just confirm if this is just for Fresno City or for Fresno County?
It is for all of Fresno County, not just city residents. So if you are a county island resident, you can participate in the program. Everybody in Fresno County, whether they're owners or renters, houses, mobile homes, apartments, condos, can participate in the program. You do have to qualify as a low-income household.
Thank you. And that may even lead into this next question from Naimeen around what is the income eligibility for all of these programs? Could you clarify that?
It is about a 60% state median income. Every program does have its own criteria. So anytime somebody signs up for a service, always apply. The worst thing that they can do is tell you no, you don't qualify or you're over income, because what our income level is not the same as Medi-Cal. They have exceptions that we don't have. We have exceptions that they don't have. Our benefits are different from WIC, from the PG&E program. So we do always tell people that it's always just better to try to apply with the program, submit your income, and we'll see with whatever open contracts we have if you're eligible. Over the past couple of years, we've had multiple grants that allowed for various income types. So that is helpful for those that do get moderate income that may not be significantly low income, but it's still a little moderate. We want to help our low income families on fixed income like Social Security, anybody getting cash aid, but we are also helping working families, people just getting started out or that is just trying to survive with a living wage. So the income, even though it's not flexible, our grants allow us to provide more services. to those households, possibly with those various income limits.
Thank you. And I see that this next question, I think, was about the homeowners or renters also being eligible. I think you addressed.
Yes.
Ryan, I see you have your hand raised, and we're coming to you after the question from Ryan, Laura.
Yeah, thank you so much, Monica. Really great information. Just had a quick question. After evaluating this program, I'm just curious if, like, on an annual basis, you can kind of quantify what some of the savings that some of the residents have been experiencing after, not like maybe just like an average or an example of what someone experienced.
Mhm. So minimally, and I say that on for somebody that's not getting help with appliances. So we're not touching a heater, water heater, fridge, cooler, things like that. Minimal services could be just like sealing up gaps and cracks, maybe replacing and upgrading some lighting, and just some smaller items. You could save on average about $400 a monthly with these services. Annually, it could be in the thousands because it does all add up, and seasonally, it will be impacted significantly. So you use more lights, of course, during winter time. So usually you'll get a higher electricity, or maybe during, the summertime, we are constantly running our AC, or those of us on a rate program where it costs more to use power between 4 and 9 p.m., you're going to see those significant changes when the weatherization program comes in. We're able to drop that significantly. The dollar will fluctuate depending on what service you get, but minimally we do shoot for like an average about 485 a month, depending on the household size and the size of the house.
No, that's awesome. That's wonderful, and that's definitely something I know community members are in need of. Um, just had a real quick question. So thankfully, as part of this community steering committee, we have community-based organizations, environmental justice advocate representatives, and business owners with employees that live and work in the area. And so just wanted to know, I mean, do you have informational material that you can share with us, like about some of the specific services and things that are provided through this program that we could look to get in the hands of those groups?
Definitely.
Hopefully in both English and in Spanish.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, just curious, we've been going out and doing a lot of in-person outreach. I mean, does Fresno EOC also look to get out there to those in-person events as well?
Yes, we are actively always participating in local community events through invitations. If I hear about it through school organizations, churches, events that they hold privately with their congregations, we'll attend those. If we get the invite, we'll be there, or we'll ask to be there if we hear about it, through word of mouth. People sometimes just offer it for their business or their employees. They'd be like, you know what? A lot of people are saying that they keep getting this question, even though my program doesn't help with it. Can you tell us what are some opportunities? So we offer in-person presentations as well. Pretty much we'll figure out how we can, what audience we have and how we can get the information best to them to hopefully provide the service that they need. We do have printed material in English and Spanish. I was fortunate enough to have, we had a new hire that was able to translate, and now we have, I think it's Punjabi. So we have an additional material available in that. Those are the only three sources I have at the moment for language options. But we do have that available, as well as some little knickknacks that I like to give out. Like I said, most papers end up in the trash. Remember to recycle when you throw away my piece of paper. But if I give you a little tape measure or a fly swatter, maybe the next time you're using it, you remember why you used it in the first place. The fly wouldn't have got in your house, maybe, if that window wasn't broken.
if they are looking to have someone from the Fresno EOC show up to their event, what's the best contact for that?
So my contact, which is Monica, period, Goatz, my last name, at Fresno EOC, period, org. And that's monica.goats at fresnoeoc.org. And the best phone number would be 559-263-1584.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica.
You're welcome. And I did see a couple more questions come up in the chat, if you don't mind me answering those real quick. We do help the most vulnerable in Fresno County as well. So we do try to expedite in providing services. So I saw one here about seniors and pregnant persons. We do have a vulnerability, and it is part of our local plan to the state that we tell them that we want to address the most vulnerable households. So young children, babies, pregnant women, disabled individuals, elderly, that they are provided services quicker, or that they more or less jump the line while other households are being served. Not saying that we're not going to serve other households. They are just going to go to the top to get scheduled first and get somebody out there and identify the crisis, so that we can at least try to temporarily get it fixed in the meantime and address the problem, or if it needs to be referred for some additional assistance, that what we can offer or what other programs are in the area to offer. When our inspectors do go out to the home, they do educate on how to use the thermostats. I know a lot of people with the smart thermostats. I just got mine 2 years ago, and I still have some problems using it. I use the app more than the thermostat because it's a dial and there's no buttons. So if you mess up something, you got to go all the way back to get back to it. So there are manuals. We can't unfortunately go out and show everybody how to use your thermostat unless you're going through the program. I'd love to offer that as a program service, but if we want to help you with everything. So maybe if you're having a thermostat issue, there's some upgrades we can do in the home at the same time. But if it's just more or less trying to use it, I always highly recommend do what normally everybody says: Google it, YouTube it. Probably ask your teenagers. They probably know how to use it. But you could also give us a call, and then we can try to talk you through it and be like, do you have it on the right setting? Is it on heating, cooling, fan? Smart thermostats have a AI setup in there, and they have a memory. So if you always turn your heater up at night, it will remember. So the next couple of nights, it will automatically put the heater up based off of your habit of turning it up. So that is something to keep in mind. People are like, my heater's turning on by itself, and I didn't ask it to turn it on. It's remembering what you did. And so you do have to go into the preset settings and take that off in case it was just that evening. Last night it was cold. Maybe this night it's not as cold. So I don't want the temperature to go up. It doesn't usually go off of one off. It's a habit. So if I had the heater turned up all week, it's going to remember that I did that. So that is something, it is a learning, and you do have to get familiar with using it.
Thank you so much, Monica. You've provided so much incredibly valuable information for us in this space, and we know we were really looking forward to you joining us in this space. So, yeah, really, really appreciate that. I'm really mindful of the time of just all of this space, and so I'm really wondering if you would feel comfortable including the email that you shared and the phone number you shared in the chat. Also, Oh, thank you so much. Also, Laura, I know you had your hand up and also saw that you included some commentary in the chat. So, as a public member, we would love to, we would love it if you would be so kind as to provide your question in the chat. We want to make sure that any questions you have unanswered are answered, or to save for at the end for public comment. We want to make sure we get to that. Okay. Well, with that, and I see your comment too, Ryan, about looking at the informational materials and sending out to the CSC. Well, thank you so much, Monica. We really appreciate your presence here.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, wonderful. So with that, would love to just take a moment to transition to our next item on the agenda. And with that, would love to welcome up my colleague Liz to talk through the SERP incentive measures discussion. Thank you. Really great questions too. Thanks all.
Yeah, thank you. And again, just being mindful of the time. I won't take up too much time right now, but just want to transition us and provide some context. So the Air District will be providing updates on 3 of your CERT measures, as you may have seen in the agenda. Though we will be spending most of our time tonight getting into the details about the passenger vehicle replacement measure. And depending on time, we'll hear some updates about the electric school buses and residential air filtration measures. This presentation is meant to be very informative for you all, and we hope that folks can leave this meeting feeling more clear about what these next steps are and what this means for the community. And so with that, I'm happy to pass it to, I believe, Akio or Ryan from the Air District to get us started.
Thanks, Liz. I'm going to start off, and then I'm going to transition it to Akio, who very appreciative of him being here tonight and sharing his knowledge of the program. And in addition to him, I also want to welcome Jose Marin and Tom Knox from Valley Can, who are going to be part of working with us on implementing the vehicle replace and repair. We can transition to the next slide, Akio. Thanks. So yeah, this is really a follow-up to the action items from the last meeting on wanting to get some needed updates, and in addition to presenting in more in depth on the passenger vehicle replacement measure, and hearing from maybe Valley Can in addition to Akio. Going to cover electric school buses, where we are. I think we have exciting news in regards to that, and getting people under contract, and hopefully we'll start seeing a lot more of those buses. And then also going to be discussing providing an update on our residential clean air rooms program. Next slide. So just kind of as a reminder about the passenger vehicle, specifically the passenger vehicle replacement program. It's funding for replacement of passenger vehicles with battery electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles. I'm sure everybody remembers we went through a process. Initially, the level of incentive was $11,000, and understanding the rising cost of the vehicles, there was a recommendation to increase that funding amount to pay a higher level. There's a total funding allocation of $1.6 million for the measure. We are still working with CARB. We had another meeting with them today. We're very hopeful that we'll be able to finalize that incentive project plan, and being able to start being able to implement the measure. So just a few of the program details. It is the eligibility are low-income qualified residents within the AB 617, and we'll talk a little bit more on what that means later on in the presentation. You must live within the AB 617 boundary, and it requires the replacement of an older vehicle to be put towards a new or used vehicle. And at this point, I will turn it over to Akio, who's our resident expert. Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. And good evening, everyone. Yeah, so with our passenger vehicle replacement program, our low-income qualified residents that reside in AB 617 boundaries will have the opportunity to receive $18,000 towards the purchase of a new plug-in hybrid vehicle or $20,000 towards the purchase of a new fully electric vehicle. Now, if you came down to it with the shopping period in the program and you found that the vehicle you wanted to replace your order vehicle with is a used vehicle that's plug-in hybrid or electric, you're still able to receive an incentive from us. However, it'll be a little bit lower. For a used plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, you would receive $11,500. And then for a used electric vehicle, you would receive $12,000 from us at the district towards the purchase of that vehicle. However, you can receive an additional $4,000 for used plug-in hybrid vehicles or fully electric vehicles from PG&E as well if you submit application for their EV rebate program within 180 days from the purchase or lease of the vehicle through our program. Just to keep in mind, though, the $4,000 from PG&E is a PG&E program and is not a district program. So, this is intended for low-income residents. What does it mean to be a low-income resident in this program? That means that your household size is at or below 300% of the federal poverty level. This eligibility or this income eligibility chart right here basically breaks that down by the household size. So for example, if you had a household size of four, you'd have to make $90,000 or less as a household to qualify for this program. And we typically look at the household size based off of the number of individuals that are on your most recent federal tax return, which includes yourself, a spouse, or any of your dependents. And then we'll look at your income based off of your annual gross income on that tax return. Also, to qualify for this program, the vehicle that you retire and turn in and replace, it does need to be 2006 or older vehicle. You do need to prove that the vehicle has been owned by you for at least 6 months. We typically take this into consideration by the issue date on your title, the vehicle title. Also, the vehicle must have been used in California for the past 2 years consistently. We typically look at coverage for usage in the past 2 years with registration coverage that you may have, or the policy term of the vehicle's insurance as well too. We're also looking that the vehicle that you are retiring through the program is operable. It's able to operate on its own power. And like I said in the previous slide, the household income must be at or below 300% of the FPL, federal poverty line. And then last but not least, you must have a valid California driver's license that is not expired as well too at the time of the application. So I'm going to go ahead and provide a couple of examples of what our participants may see going through this process. So this first example is specifically for a participant who ends up with a used electric vehicle through our program. So this example, we have Josie, who lives in Fresno with their partner and their 2 kids. And together, the family makes $88,000 a year, which based on that chart we just showed a couple of slides back, qualifies them in this program. The couple wants to get rid of their old 2005 Honda Civic and buy a used electric car. So they worked with us here at the district and our partners at Valley Cam to apply for this program. Once they're approved, they go shop at one of our eligible dealerships and in Fresno and find a 2020 Hyundai Ioniq electric vehicle. It's priced at $16,995. So that would make them eligible for $12,000 based off of their income and for the vehicle that they selected in this program. Josie would go ahead and pay the remaining $4,995 and plus the tax at the time of the final transaction, as well as pay for the title and registration after. And then Josie also submits all their information to PG&E to receive that rebate check of $4,000 made out in their name, since the vehicle that they selected through our program was a used electric vehicle. And at the end of the day, now Josie's family has an electric car that only costed them $995, of course, plus the tax, title, and registration. Moving on, this is an example now of participants coming through our program and purchasing a brand new electric vehicle. So in this example, we have Cecilia and Pat, who are retired and live right next to Roosevelt High School. Through Social Security, they earn $57,000 a year, which qualifies them based on the low income eligibility chart we just looked at. And they want to get rid of their old 2003 Volkswagen Beetle to buy a brand new electric vehicle. So they work with us at the district in Valley Camp to apply for our program. And once they're approved, they go shop at Blackstone Chevrolet and find a new 2023 Chevy Bolt electric vehicle that's priced at $28,795. So they are eligible for $20,000 from the district based on the vehicle that they selected. And that $20,000 is taken right off the price of the vehicle at the time of the final transaction. Cecilia also gets a car loan to pay the remaining $8,795 that's left, plus the tax, title, and registration. And now Cecilia and Pat have a brand new electric car that only costs them that $87.95, plus the tax, title, and registration. Right here are a couple of actual real examples that are for sale right now locally in Fresno or Clovis area. On the left-hand side, we have an example of the 2020 Hyundai Ioniq we talked about, which is priced at $16,295. And then on the right-hand side here, we have a 2023 new Chevy Bolt. That's an electric vehicle as well. The conditional net cost is $20,295, but the main cost was $28,795. Below here, though, we have a list of our current eligible dealerships in the Clovis and Fresno area. We are actively working on increasing that number of dealerships in the area as well, too. But you can find the list of our full eligible dealership list online for our program as well too, and take a look through these websites to get an idea of what the pricings are for vehicles yourself. So some common questions we come across are, will I receive a tax document that might affect my income or assistance eligibility? We do not distribute a tax document or report this as income at all. So we don't expect there to be any effect to your eligibility for any other assistance programs there may be. Other common question that we receive is, what happens to my current vehicle? The one you're retiring through the program. Well, that vehicle will be collected on the day you purchase a new or used vehicle at the dealership. You'll leave it there, and then it'll be picked up by a recycling company and destroyed forever. And another common question we come across also is, will folks in Fresno qualify based on income? Well, based off of the data that we've gathered in the Fresno area, we believe yes, because the average household size is 3 people with a median income of $57,000. And if you take a look back on that income eligibility chart we looked at, that would definitely qualify a household like this for the program. So on average, our answer to that question is yes, there definitely will be folks in Fresno who qualify based on income. And right now, I also want to take the moment to open the floor to if there's any questions specifically about this program. I'll take a look in the chat as well, too.
Yeah, thank you. I don't see anything in the chat, but do really want to invite the CSC members to share any comments or questions that may have come up. Yeah, I'll just take a pause, see if any hands are raised.
Doesn't seem so. All right. Well, if
Hey, Akio, I just wanted to bring up one point in the slide with the new Bolt, and it listed the $7,500 tax credit. And I know, Tom or Jose may be able to better answer this, but there were some requirements that changed January 1st that now allows some dealerships, the dealerships that elect to participate in the program, that $7,500 can actually be taken off the price of the vehicle. And now the list of eligible vehicles has drastically shrunk. There's requirements about where the products are sourced, like the components for the cars are sourced, as well as where it's put together. And so I'm imagining that as manufacturers are currently doing one of two things: that are either lowering the price because they can't make their cars eligible for the discount, or they're working on making their vehicles qualify. And so that's just one more thing I think as people are looking at this, for them to think about. But the other thing, it used to be a tax credit. So my understanding is now, if the dealership elects to do it, it basically, it's just it's capped, and so people making over a certain income level, which wouldn't apply to people that would be eligible for our program, everybody else would be able to qualify for the $7,500 reduction in price, which is it's nice. Before, it was just tax credit, so you had to pay $7,500 in tax, federal tax, in order to get that money back. Versus with this change, people can get that off the price of the vehicle. But I don't know if Tom or Jose have any more information on that.
Ryan, thank you. That's a great summary. And there's been a lot of really good progress in making the IRS tax credit for both used and new EVs a lot more accessible. It's really complicated. I'm not a tax professional, but I would hope by the time that this is all approved and ready to go, that some of the remaining complications are worked out. And what's happening right now is dealers need to be approved by the IRS to process the tax credit as a point of sale incentive. They're a little bit behind. And I know the federal government is working really hard to get the dealers enabled to use this as a point of sale credit. They are a couple months behind right now. Fingers crossed that's going to be resolved very soon. When that does happen, then this does become basically a down payment incentive on both new and used. So that makes it a lot easier for all buyers to then receive either the used or new tax credit as part of the sale, which basically function as a down payment. So we'll work really closely with customers to make sure that they qualify for everything they possibly can. We need to counsel that this does require some patience. This is a big national program that's just rolling out as of January 1st. So it's not quite there yet, but all this is on the verge of happening. And should make both new and used EVs a lot more accessible to Fresno residents. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan and Tom, for expanding on that part right there as well, too. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass this back on over to Ryan.
Thanks, Akio. Good job.
Thanks.
So just some next steps. So we're going to continue to work with CARB. In my heart of hearts, I believe it's going to be very soon that the project plan will be approved, in which case, at that point, we'd be able to get under the necessary contracts with Valley Can to start this work within the community. I can't say enough good things about the work that Tom and Jose do. You know, I follow them on various social medias, and I see the number of people that are reaping the benefits of the program, and it's just great to see. And you're seeing a lot of you know, people from outlying communities that are getting into plug-in and electric vehicles, and you know, which is really what both you know, the AB 617 program and other programs at the state and federal level are really about. And so it's exciting to see those things happening. We're also going to you know, continue to update all of you on the status of all this work, and you know, this is you know, hopefully another exciting thing for the people living in the community. And we're going to have to rely on you know, all of the CSC members to help us with working with Valley Can to get the word out about this opportunity. And I think the best outcome is we open it up and we see tremendous participation, and you know, then we can get back together and talk about how we can further support it. So you know, thanks to everyone. Next slide. I should have asked if anybody had any questions. If not, I'll move on to electric school buses. I know this was a measure that the CSC worked so hard in working with trustees from various school districts to prioritize you know, transitioning to cleaner school buses, and specifically electric school buses. And so it's exciting to be here and talking about the fact that you know, through all your efforts, we've been able to identify that Fresno Unified is committed to replacing 6 buses to begin with. And then Central Unified is committing to replace 7. And so I can't remember the specific numbers, but I want to say it was 1 more than what we'd committed to initially in the adoption of the SERP. And so you know, we're excited to see the school districts taking advantage of this. The funding levels that are offered, you know, specifically to the AB 617 area, and you know, having ridden on the old diesel school buses going to Edison High School, I know how much fumes and other things you breathe when you're riding on those things. And so, you know, transitioning to electric is a lot better for everybody, the people living in those communities, as well as the children that are riding on those buses. So right now, yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions in regards to where we're at right now.
So there was funding for how many buses? 15?
I want to say, yeah, and then the cost of the school buses greatly increased. You know, when we initially made those kind of estimations, I think the cost of them at the time was about $200,000. And so now, over time, we're seeing, you know, $400,000 to $500,000 for what that's kind of where they're coming in at. And so, yeah.
And then the other thing that I remember at some point was also in the discussions that you know, the schools were saying, but we need the funding for the charging, you know, places. So was that also added to like what was available?
Yeah, that was the recommendation from the CSC, and so we did add that component. And so if they needed it will include it. So if they applied it, they would also get funding for that.
So the 13 buses, that means that all the funding was depleted?
That's
or
actually,
we have...
yeah, it's actually more funding than what was in the SERP.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that will be a you know, future conversation if we were to continue to get applications in from the various school districts, you know, and if we don't have funding, we would definitely bring that back to the CSC for discussion. Yeah, Dr. Curry.
Yeah, thank you so much for the update. When you say that these will service Edison and Roosevelt High School, is that sort of north to south routes that are being covered? So from North Fresno to West Fresno?
Yeah, that's
Or
my
is,
understanding. The commitment is to use the 6 buses, uh, predominantly in the Edison and Roosevelt areas.
okay, I guess what I'm still asking though, are these north-south routes to Edison and, or is it in the AB 617 area?
I can get more specifics. I know when we talked with them and tried to get a better description from Fresno Unified on like specific routes, they couldn't explain specifically other than that these buses would be operated specifically within the boundaries of the AB 617 and, like I said, primarily for Edison and Roosevelt. But that's a
Okay,
question that we can follow up with Fresno Unified, Dr. Curry, and get back to you on.
yeah, I would be curious because it's great for all of our students to not be exposed to all of these emissions. But my concern would be that the students who are already overexposed are in West Fresno. And so if we're transporting students from north to south, that seems like that's an extra
Okay.
benefit that our students are not reaping. And so I'd be concerned
So
about
are you
being
thinking like some of the magnet students versus
right.
some of the
Some of the students that are already living in communities that are
yeah,
overburdened with pollution and
yeah.
exposure. Yeah.
We will double check with them. It makes sense, there are some limitations with the range of the school buses.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make more sense maybe for them to operate in like more like strictly limited within the boundaries, but we'll follow up with them and ask that question.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good questions. Anybody else? All right, Akio, next slide. Residential air filtration. And so, yeah, really appreciate Fresno EOC. And I think when you can find opportunities to pair services, those are some ideal circumstances. And so, as everybody can probably remember, going back a ways, we started off with an allocation of about 5,000 residential air filtration devices. And through the tremendous efforts, and you're going to hear a little bit more about it from Zong a little bit later, but we're at 1,582 devices that have been issued to people, many of them at in-person events. And I think some of the challenges of I think community members not really I think there's with some of these programs, it almost seems like maybe a little distrust. And so, with the in-person events and people seeing that they can actually get it, I think it changes some of the perspective. And so we're hoping that over the next few months, we'll see that number continue to just grow. We still have quite a few with over 3,400 units left. So, and while we're seeing good progress, there's still a lot of work to be done. And so, any assistance, continued assistance we can get from you in helping to spread the word about this program and get these into people's homes. I know it's not at the forefront of people's minds when we're having great air quality, but before we know it, summer will be here, and knock on wood, we've had relatively good fire seasons, but we want people to be prepared in case that were to change. And these definitely help with people that have breathing issues. Just running these devices on a regular basis have definitely been shown to reduce breathing problems for people. So it's a great program. Any questions? All right, thanks, Akio. Next slide. just wanted to be, we're going to have just a couple updates after this, but just wanted to remind everybody. I know some people may have missed this. We had worked with the city of Fresno on making planning notifications more available to interested parties, CSC members, people that you know. And so by signing up and going to that email, planning@fresno.com, and asking for an email list or a listing of the projects that are going on within the city boundaries, you'll get emails. I get emails, probably at least a few a week of projects that are going on. And in those emails, you can go to the next slide, Akio. And so in those emails is kind of what it looks like. It has a listing of the projects, and if you click the link, you get more details. In the email itself, it includes the participatory processes and information about how to participate. And then it also includes a contact name and number for our Spanish-speaking members to contact to get information if they need additional information about projects, or if they have questions, they can reach out to those individuals to get that information. And so I find it to be a really good resource, to help us stay aware of all the projects that are going on. And so just wanted to share that information once again with everybody. And I think that's the last slide, right, Akio?
Correct. Yep. Thank you.
Right.
You both so much for all of that information, and thank you for those who asked questions. Yeah. Was going to open it up to see if there are any other questions, and I think you have one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking for my virtual hand, but I couldn't find the icon. So what about the air filtration? I missed that part. Not the purifiers, but the air filtration funding that was supposed to go to the schools for improvement of their system.
We did not cover that, Naimeen.
Yeah, I was scared. I'm like, oh my God, am I already developing amnesia or what?
I'll go tell you what. We will send an email out to everybody with an update on where we are with that. We were Fresno Unified did submit. I think we covered it. It was in the last meeting, Nancy. We went through an update of I want to say it was last meeting of where we were at. It was very exciting that the city of Fresno did come in. Not city of Fresno. Fresno Unified came in and used the funding. And I can't remember how many units. It was a lot. And so basically, from my recollection, it was almost all the schools within the Fresno Unified schools within the AB 617 boundary took advantage of that and were purchasing large units for each of the classrooms. But we'll follow up with an email with that information for everybody.
Yeah, we'll add that as an action item. Thank you for bringing that up, Naomi. And so I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised. Just pause for another moment if anything comes up. But if not, I think we can transition to our standing updates. So as you know, we carve out this time at the end of every meeting to listen and learn directly from our agencies and community partners that we work with within the South Fresno community. So we have a few updates tonight. We have, let's see, we were going to be starting with Zong, who will be giving an outreach update.
Thanks, Liz. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I know we are running a little bit short on time, so I'm sorry if it feels like I'm going fast. I'm not trying to go fast, just slow me down, and I can definitely go a little slower. So good evening. I'm just going to give a quick update on what the district has been doing in the Fresno community air protection area. As Ryan mentioned, the district has distributed close to 1,500 air purifiers so far. And we've been out to various events in the community to share information about the Clean Air Rooms program and help residents complete the application, answer any questions. And at some of these events, if residents bring their information, their ID, their PG&E bill, anything that provides proof of residency, not residency, address, so their location, then we will go ahead and help them complete it right then and there, and they can take home a free air purifier. And some of the events that we've been out at include school events. And some of the recent ones that we've been at include last Friday, we were at Gaston Middle School and we attended their safety and resource fair. And then we were out at the Black Voices in Literacy in January at the Fresno Convention Center, and then also at the Sunnyside Family Engagement Night. Again, at all of these events, we brought some air purifiers and helped families complete their applications right then and there, as well as share information about other programs that we offer here at the district with residents. Something that we have done recently is translate the Clean Air Rooms flyer, and now it's available in Hmong as well. So we have both or all three languages, English, Spanish, and Hmong. And we recently used these flyers and shared it on Peace Jar to schools in our AB 617 area. And we are excited that we did get some responses from residents. When we were at the Gaston Middle School, one of the parents let us know that they already applied for the program because they saw the flyer. So that's pretty exciting. And then we also have been out at community events. This is one of the events that we went to recently. We went to a food distribution event at St. Anthony Mary Claret Church Food Distribution, and we handed out 50 air purifiers to families that were there for the event for food distribution, and just provided information about, again, our programs and answer any questions that they might have. In the next couple weeks, we will be at all of these events. And so if you want to join us, please come. If you have any family, friends that haven't received or want to apply for the program but want some help, please encourage them to attend any of these events. We will be there. We will have bilingual staff there as well. The next one will be tomorrow. We will be at Cedar Courts for their health fair. Next month, we will be at Ving Pao at their spring carnival, and then at Roosevelt High School for another family engagement regional event. And then on March 21st, we will be at Malaga Elementary School for their literacy night. I just wanted to also point out that we do have all of these events listed on our outreach events tracker. And this is available on the community website on the outreach page, and it looks like this. Can you guys see it? I just wanted to share it quickly. So if you click on that link on that page, then you can see all of the events. The ones that we've been to, they're checked off, and here are the ones that we will be going to the next couple of weeks. Put that off my screen. And then, whoops, next slide. And then the last thing, just wanted to share that we do have some calendars available still. And if you haven't received one or would like one, please let us know. We'd be happy to send you a calendar. And again, the calendar is made up of artwork from students throughout the Valley. So if you have any students, please invite them to submit some artwork for our calendar. And that is pretty much it for my update on some of the outreach things that we've been doing, both in particular for the Clean Air Rooms program. And I'm going to go ahead and stop share. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you so much, Solon. We did have a couple questions in the chat, but I think they got answered. Asking when the next events are and whether they would be in person. If there are any other questions, definitely feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat.
And we can also share that list when we, I'll share that with Nancy and she can share it with the CSC in regards to the upcoming events that we're going to be at. I see Naeem's hand. Go ahead.
I know that we had a lot of air purifiers that we need to get out, and I'm glad to see that you're hustling with all this outreach. Can you give an update? Have we make a dent? Are we in what percentage of the ones that we had where we are?
So the total amount that with the measure is 5,000. So we're at 1,500, roughly around 1,500. So we still have quite a bit to still give out. So please let us know if there are other events in the community that you know about. Please share the information with us, and we will make every effort to try to attend at these events. But you know, please let us know. I think that's a big part of it, is sometimes we just don't know. You know, please, you know, send that information, the flyer, the details, whatever info you have, just drop us an email, and I can drop our email and our outreach email into the chat here in a few minutes, so that you can also send that information to us directly, or if you want to send it to AB617, the email there, that works as well. And then I see Lilia's hand raised.
Sí, buenas noches. Como ustedes saben, nosotros tenemos los eventos comunitarios ya más presente ahorita, va a ser el día de Pascua. Estamos solicitando el permiso de la ciudad para abrir un bloque completo otra vez para hacer el evento de Spring, como le llaman el Spring Break, terminar con la Pascua. Entonces vamos a tener un evento comunitario. Me encantaría toda esta información que están compartiendo ahorita para poder distribuirla con la comunidad, y también están invitados a participar. Si quieren poner su mesa informativa también, con gusto. Ahora, todos los Familias en Acción todos los viernes tiene distribución de comida, y las canastas no nos gusta que se vayan vacías. Esta información es muy valiosa para ponerle en las canastas de alimentos. Entonces, si puedo pasar a la oficina allá a la Gettysburg, puedo ir a recoger la información, o si gustan traérmela también, con todo gusto aquí la estoy para recibirla.
I would be happy to give you some flyers, some activity kits, whatever you need, Lilia. I will touch base with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lilia. And I see an answer to Naeem's question in the chat that I'll read out loud from Ryan. We have distributed about 30% of the total units and still have around 3,400 left. Thank you for that. And not seeing any other questions. So I think we can move to our next update, which is from Naeem, I believe, an update on the tree planting event coming up.
Oh, yes. So you are invited. We are having an event. It's going to be small this time. It's this Saturday from 9 to 12. And this is happening. I'll put the address on the chat. It will be on at a church. It's called Saint Rest Baptist Church. And I will put the address there. So basically, we're planting not the 5-gallon trees, but the 50 gallons or the larger ones. And you're more than welcome to attend. And also let us know if you find or can recommend another church, a school, community center, or any other public space within the AB617 area where you would like to see these trees planted. And we don't have a date yet, but just it's just like put it in your calendars as soon as we confirm the date. But we are planning a bigger event where we hope all of you show up, and we're going to have media and a big thing happening in Edison High School. We're gonna try to plant more than 100 trees there. So we're just working with the school to finalize the date. But in the meantime, if you want to learn how to plant a tree properly, please join us this Saturday. As I said, sorry, I was mistaken. It's at 9:30, and here is the address on the chat of the church. And just like with the air purifiers, if you have an event where you want us to come and give information about the Adopt the Tree program, please contact me or Julio, and we will be able to go.
Thank you so much. That sounds lovely. I hope folks take advantage of that and plant some trees. Any questions or comments for Naomi before we hear another update? Okay. So I think we can move to our next updates. We have two more. Next up, we have Carved. See if there are any updates from Jennifer or Brian.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Liz. This is Jennifer. We do have one update. It's kind of a long way. It's March 19th. There will be a public workshop to discuss the proposed 2024 Community Air Protection Incentives Guidelines. I believe it's going to be online and registration is required. And I will go ahead and post all the information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm not seeing any questions, and it sounds like Jennifer will be putting that information in the chat. So we can move to our last update for the night, and that will be from the city of Fresno. And we have Lance here to provide the update for us.
Yeah, good evening. Lance Lemgott. I'm the Director of Economic Development with the city of Fresno. Have an update on the truck study. IBI Arcadius, along with Catherine Padilla and Associates, continue their efforts on the South Central Fresno AB 617 community truck reroute study on January 18th. The consultants planned and coordinated with the Malaga Community Center to host a meeting to provide an update on the truck reroute study and health impact assessment. Presentation was given on the truck study, and open house session followed where the public was able to ask questions on the project. Information gathered from this report was analyzed and incorporated into the truck map and implementation strategies report. A 3-week public review period will begin on March 18th. For the health impact assessment update, University of Merced continues their efforts.
Lance?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you speak a little more slowly, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. The health impact assessment update, University of Merced continues their efforts to finalize their health impact assessment in preparation for public review on March 18th. The executive summary will be translated into Spanish, and UCM will be releasing their final or the revised draft report for public review, as stated before, on March 18th. The community is encouraged to visit the City of Fresno's Truck Reroute Study website to review and comment on these reports during the 3-week review period, which starts on March 18th. Questions, comments, and concerns are welcome to the City of Fresno's Truck Reroute Study email, which I will post real quick in the chat. The revised schedule is as follows. March 26th, the final TSC meeting. March 27th, the final Community Advisory Group meeting. March 18th through April 7th, public review period for truck maps. April 8th, review period closes. And then in April, the final report and an additional community meeting will be scheduled to discuss it. May and June, tentative planning commission, city council. If there are any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to get them over to Public Works.
Thank you, Lance. And yes, a lot of information, and I see we have a couple hands up. So we can start with Natalie.
Hey Lance, I just have like a couple of questions. I think my first question is just regarding the dates. So it looks like the CAG meeting is going to be pushed back all the way to March 27th, right?
That's correct. And actually, let me post those in the chat so you guys have those a little bit more accessibly.
Got it. Thank you. And then I think I think I just have two other questions. Will the firm be conducting more community engagement? Just because at the last workshop that I was at, like it was the only time that the health assessment was actually presented, and it was the first time that the truck routes were actually shared with the public. So do you know if the firm is planning on conducting any more like workshops regarding like the truck reroute study?
So,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
It's my understanding that the maps that were shown at that meeting weren't in fact the proposed truck reroutes. And so I don't know if they were just examples of the existing truck reroute, but what I was told was those maps themselves were not the proposed, because those were still being drafted and the city doesn't have anything yet to share in regards to proposed truck reroutes.
Got it. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I think it was just a little confusing because I think the last City of Fresno person that spoke here said that the truck routes were going to be shared, but if those weren't the final ones, I think there should be another like community work, or at least a couple more community workshops that share these with folks.
Definitely make a note.
And I think those are all my questions, like as of now. Oh, and then I think the last one is, so after it goes through TSC and CAG, the public as a whole is going to be able to review the updated truck routes, right?
Yeah, so if you look at that schedule that was posted, that's what they're currently looking at for public comment right now.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so the final map should be available, I think, on March 18th, which happens before the TSC and and for everybody, the TSC, that's the Technical Steering Committee. And then the CAG is the Community Advisory Group.
Thank you, Natalie, and thanks for the answers. Naomi, go ahead.
Sorry, I always have a lot of questions. During that workshop that happened at the Malaga Community Center, I frankly have not attended other meetings. That was my first one. And yes, it was confusing because it made seem that those were the maps. And now you're saying they were not. So I think it has to be made clear. And also one question that was raised by several of the residents in attendance was the question about how was the city in any way contacting, coordinating with the county. The facilitator or one of the facilitators there kept on saying the county. And I asked who in the county, because the county is what? It's like hundreds of employees. The county are the supervisor. Who is the county? Because this is not going to work if we're just working within the city limits, because a lot of these routes are going to go into county, areas. So I think it was not clear, and I understand that the person that was probably more familiar with all this was sick that day, but I think it's important for us, at least for me, to understand how that county and who in the county has participated in this so that it's going to be successful when the plan, if it's taken to the city council for approval, but then nothing happens on the county level, then we're going to have a half-made plan. And then the other thing I wanted to say as well is I was I don't know, I'm not an expert on that, but when I heard rerouting, in my mind I felt, oh, that means that they're going to change a route from one thing to another street, which I think was the main concern of residents that have diesel trucks going in their neighborhoods. And a lot of the strategies that were presented as the solutions were more about safety. We're going to draw lines in this corner. We're going to do, and believe me, I'm not against safety, But that safety measures that are the bulk of the plan right now are not really addressing what the main concern was of having the trucks going and driving farther away from homes. And when the Merced people presented their results, it was evident why was that needed. They find out that within 1,000 feet, if you live within 1,000 feet of these, areas that are constantly where there's traffic from diesel trucks, your rates of chronic diseases and all kinds of things increases exponentially. So that is just also another reason why changing the routes should be the priority and not only putting safety measures in that plan.
I will follow up on the county contact. I am not sure who that is, so.
Yeah, I just want to echo what was just said, because when I looked at the truck rerouting information, its focus was on, as it said, abating the truck traffic and not so much changing the routes. But community members and families have said the more important and priority is to get the trucks out of their communities so that they are not exposed to more emissions. So the study itself, I don't know if it was lost somewhere in the sort of intention, but it doesn't seem to address the concerns that the community has, which is reroute them away from families so that we're not exposed. And that doesn't mean people don't want sidewalks and don't want safety crossings, but that was never the intent of this study. So I did look at the site, and I think that for some community members, it may have been really challenging to understand how they were to provide input. It wasn't a clear and easy process. And so I fear that we've missed a lot of the community input because of the tool that maybe was not user-friendly. So how can we address both of those concerns?
So I'll make a note of the concerns and I'll transfer them over to the group as well.
Thank you. And I see we have another comment or question from Natalie.
Yeah, I also just wanted to flag that at the Malaga workshop, like we had asked how the UC Merced Health Assessment was incorporated into the final recommendations. And it turns out like those final recommendations were actually drafted before the UC Merced Health Assessment was completed. And I feel like that totally kind of this is the point, kind of going back to what Venice and Nayamin said, is that that study is supposed to inform like the final recommendations to ensure that folks aren't being like disproportionately exposed, to heavy duty truck traffic. And I just wanted to flag that just because it is an important component of the study. And I did want to ask if it would be possible. I know that we talked about the truck reroute study during our last CSC meeting, but I feel like it would be an important item to bring up again for next month's CSC meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. And Dr. Curry, I see your hand is still up, so I want to see if there's anything else you wanted to share.
Yeah, I'll just say that the purpose of the health assessment was to actually provide additional information and data on health outcomes and health concerns that, again, community members have consistently brought up. So it was always the plan to include that information in a way that was helpful and could lead the rerouting to based on the health issues that people already are recognizing, already exposed to. It was always supposed to be in conjunction so that there would be not just people saying we want it moved, but also actually data that could say this is this is the level of exposure. These are the health concerns that people have. These are the health outcomes. So if it's not used in conjunction, it's a great study, but that was the purpose again.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. And I'm hearing a lot of really important points being made in this meeting. And I just want to take a moment. We do track action items, and we're trying to come up with, I guess, an action item for this conversation. Lance, I'm wondering, is there some follow-up that you can commit to? I heard a request to possibly come back at the next meeting to discuss. Just want to see your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, all of the requests I made a note of, and what I'll do is I'll follow up on them with Public Works and kind of we can present it out. Let me follow up with them first and see what they want to commit to. But some of this we should be able to produce pretty easily.
Thank you for that, Lance. And just want to take another moment, see if any other questions or comments are coming up before we transition. Okay, I'm not seeing any, and I know we are about 10 minutes over time. I just want to thank you all so much for sticking with this meeting and staying a little late. We won't take up too much of the remaining time, but just wanted to share our next meeting date. So our next CSC meeting will be Wednesday, March 20th at 5:30 p.m., our regular time. As we mentioned in last month's CSC meeting, we haven't set a date for an agenda setting meeting. And we were hoping to spend a little bit of time in the current meeting discussing some potential agenda topics. One idea was to hear an air monitoring update at the March CSC meeting. And I'm also hearing a request to have a follow-up discussion on the truck reroute study. So I just want to take a moment to see if there are any other thoughts on the agenda, any objections to having the air monitoring update, or yeah, any thoughts from folks about what you would like to see on the agenda for March?
I would like to get a breakdown and comparison of the levels that were registering the different monitors. I know that a couple of years ago, the Edison High monitor had, reported, I don't know, I can't remember the number right now, but the largest number of days exceeding the standard for PM 2.5, so we can see if that has decreased and if how it has play out compared to the other monitors.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm hearing some specific requests about what to include in that air monitoring update. Anything else coming up for folks? Anything you want to make sure that we get on the agenda for next month? And if nothing is coming up right now, feel free to send it via email. We're always open to suggestions and don't want to take up any more of your evening tonight, so I will transition to wrapping us up. I see we do have a hand up from a member of the public, and I'll just ask you to hold until we have our final public comment at the end. So again, happy to close out our meeting and just want to thank all of the presenters from tonight. Sounds like we have our agenda topics for our March meeting. And again, feel free to send any emails with any suggestions or thoughts or feedback that you would like to share. With that, I would like to invite Ryan to see if you have any closing remarks that you would like to share.
I think it was a really great meeting. We got a lot of great feedback. definitely hear you about the concerns that you shared, and definitely looking forward to seeing the reroute study and how it's taking into account the different things that were discussed tonight, and excited to start hopefully very soon the vehicle replacement and within the community. And yeah, we'll definitely get back with the information that the steering committee requested in additional emails to them. So be on the lookout for that. And thanks. I hope everybody has a great rest of their night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. And I'll now open it to public comment. And Laura, thank you so much for your patience. Please feel free to share your comment with us.
Well, yes, could you drive your air monitoring van to the west side of Edison High, like around the Foster Farms in that area, to see if there's any pollution in that area that's making the high readings on the monitor?
Yeah, so I'm hearing,
Yeah,
a request.
yeah, I heard the request, and we'll check to see where we've operated it recently.
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion, Laura. And I see folks are signing off. So again, just want to wish you a really good night, and we will see you next month.